Good morning, friends. I have tea to slurp and motivation to weave. However, not on the big loom, because the project that is on here is in the naughty corner. Let's take out my toy loom out of hibernation. And now this is also not actual tea, this is a tisane or herbal infusion, because I think actual tea is too strong for me, so we're going with the toy loom and actually the toy tea. It also even has like a big scoop of honey in it to make it even sweeter, because yeah, I might just be a child. Now that my loom is back assembled, I will introduce you to the stars of this project. These two skeins of coarse spun spiral yarn that we made back in May. I want to weave with them so bad, because just look at that texture. I think that will shine the most when weaving. I think the texture will maybe get a little bit lost if we knit with it, but weaving will just make it shine. I'm going to add a little bit of this pink yarn, which is also quite thick and thin, uneven, but is the same color pink as is in this yarn. And then I also have two white skeins to complement this. In theory, I could also add the same blue to it, but this is mohair, I think, and it's just not something I want in my neck, and the plan is to make a scarf. So this will be the darkest color that is in there. For the warp, I will be using my cone of red wool, which was also the yarn used for both the core spinning and the spiral plying. So now that I have finished slurping my tea, let's start warping this loom. And I'm going to use just the width of my studio table over here. You can't see it right now, but I have my bobbin winder clamped into place right before you as a warping pin, sort of. And I'm just going to run the length of the table about 50 times or more. It's not a very sturdy loom, so it's going to wiggle and be annoying for the entire time. So this is probably like one of the main reasons why I don't weave as much, because the big loom just hurts working with it, and this is just not a very good loom. See? Ha! Ha! Like the act of weaving itself is nice, but the warping is a nightmare. For me, my biggest weaving inspiration is Andrea Alexander here on YouTube. And in her last video, I saw her warp her Rigid Heddle Loom, like just exactly like this one is, by just using this thing, drawing a loop and going back and forth. That looked like such a relaxing way to warp your loom, but I can't, because the slots in my heddle are too small. Like even this thin yarn, I have to really like wet it in my mouth and thread it through very carefully to be able to get it through. And I know this is a tool thing. If I were just to get like a better loom, like, you know, Ashford Knitter's loom, I don't know, I would not have this much of a nightmare in warping. But then my brain is like, you don't weave enough to balance out that expense. So I am in a vicious cycle of not weaving because warping this thing is a nightmare. But as I said, today I have motivation. So I'm pushing through and I shall get this thing warped. I shall remain Will unbroken. I do realize, of course, that quite a lot of the issues that I have with weaving, more specifically warping, are not tool issues, they are stupid user issues. Look at this. Yeah, you see impending tension issues. I have rewound this warp at least 3 times, and there is just a limited amount of times that I am willing to do that before I start crying. And I was not willing to cry today, I was willing to weave today. So here is me, hoping and praying that because this and also this are very uneven, very textured yarns, it will magically solve all the tension issues. That is me. If you ever thought that I was here to teach you stuff, you were thinking wrong from the get-go. This was never a tutorial video. If you think it is, then please click away now before you write a very mean comment to me that I am a horrible weaver. Because I am, I know. But I'm just going to do it with this abomination of a warp. Wish me luck. I'm just going to follow whatever is on my shirt today, Chaos Goblin. I'm just going head first because otherwise I might bite someone. Now, speaking of biting, it is lunchtime. I shall first have lunch before I start the dreaded weaving. I have returned to my loom with a thermos of more herbal tea and some Sinterklaas speculaas just to keep my motivation up. Let's do this. I feel refreshed after my lunch. I feel like tackling this. Pretty much weaving without a plan. The only requirement I have for this scarf is that it will look texturally interesting. And I think just by using this yarn, I will have met that requirement whatever I do, which gives me a lot of creative freedom, of course. And I'm just doing whatever I am feeling like in the moment. I'm doing a little bit of clasped weft. I'm doing a little bit of alternating colors, one row after the other. And right now, I'm just doing a little bit of plain weaving because all that structurally interesting material, of course, sometimes needs to be evened out with a little bit of just plain weaving so that the warp can settle back into being nice and straight. Now, regarding my love-hate relationship with weaving, actually, like, love the weaving, love the creative process, love the fabric, but hate the warping. I don't know which of the following 2 sayings is more applicable. Either it's practice makes perfect or practice makes progress, and I should just do it more often, get it in my Fingerspitzengefühl, like, maybe that's the case. I should just do it more often. Or maybe it is a case of only a fool continues to do the exact same thing and expects different results. So maybe before I started practicing, I should really analyze what am I doing and what am I doing wrong. Because I am a fool of expecting different results. Kind of. It's always the same story. Tension issues. They are, however, right now not as bad as I had expected. Yet, possibly. So, fingers crossed that it stays this way. The texture of the coarse spun spiral plied yarn is amazing, of course, as I had suspected. That was my pure motivation for this project. And this is why I wanted to weave with it. I am mostly a garment knitter, so when I spin my yarns, I will also spin them mostly rather consistent, so that you can knit practically any knitting pattern with it, that it doesn't have to be something extra special just to accommodate for the very special yarn that you made. But this is perfect for weaving. And I remember having so much joy in spinning this yarn. I hope I can remember the joy whenever I wear this scarf, that the enjoyment of spinning this yarn, this coarse spun yarn, will warm me from the inside out when I am wearing this scarf. I almost regret the decision of not just weaving the entire scarf like this. Almost, because I also do like playing around with clasped weft and all that stuff. And in the end, it's going to be a very chaotic but very interesting scarf when I take this off the loom. But I almost regret not just going for this bubbly texture everywhere. This is YouTube. With a little bit of clever editing, I could probably make a video that insinuates that I am good at weaving, that my warping went without hiccups. But actually I think it is important to show that I struggle with some crafts. A couple of months ago, I was at my local monthly craft group. And in the monthly round where we introduce ourselves, we also say what we're currently doing. And I said, I'm currently thinking back because I made a mistake in my knitting. The organizer, who is one of my friends, blurted out, well, but it's nice to know that even you make mistakes. I don't want to be this person that you look up to, as in they don't make mistakes in their crafting and therefore they have the right to show their crafting online. For I think it can be very scary to show your crafts. It can be very daunting because whatever we see online is picture perfect, of course. We select, we curate whatever we put online. It's like you're the curator of your own crafty museum, and I get that. In a museum you want to put the nicest pieces. But as someone with a platform, I mean, there are a potential 12,000 viewers for this video, I feel like it's kind of my obligation to show in my museum that no, I do not do all the crafts perfectly. And it is okay for you to also not do the crafts perfectly and show them online. Maybe it even is an antidote to our very hyper-focused, super, Pinterest-like social media presence. Show the failed stuff. Show the things that don't go as well. Like this scarf will not be failed in the end. I am 100% sure it will look like a really amazing, really cool scarf actually. But getting there wasn't easy, and I think it is important to show that, especially as someone with a presence online like on YouTube. It reminds me of that discourse that was on Reddit a couple of weeks ago about this drawing that someone made of fan art that was not entirely proportionally correct. But in this day and age of AI pictures and everything looking perfect, that fan art must have been the best fan art to be there at that moment because it was made by a human, and you could see that it was made by a human. It had flaws, it had mistakes, it had, if anything, the potential of growth, of becoming better at your art. I have heard definition that art is art whenever a human sets out with the intention to make art. Whether it is good or not in the eyes of who you might see as art critics, that doesn't matter. It is art. I don't know where I was going right now, but I think you get the meaning. Like, I intentionally chose to show you that this didn't go all too well, almost like all my other weaving videos, but I still wanted to do it. I had the intention of making a weaving, of making something look really cool, and this is what makes it art. Not that I have perfect technique in weaving or that I know how to warp my warp perfectly. The fact that I went with this, I am a human and I'm sitting here with the intention to make it. But I feel like it still is my kind of obligation. Obligation is not a right word, but I feel like it's a mission for me. It's like the definition of chaos goblin to me is showing that it's okay to actually be shit at a thing when you're still enjoying yourself and enjoying the piece that you make. I am claiming my right to be shit at the thing on the internet. And even if it is just a silly Instagram post, I think you should too. Up next, making some fringes, because this is just loose warp threads now. Weaving all the ends. Find a spot in daylight to film reveal shots, and then probably afterwards I will wet set it, because, you know, time constraints and YouTube videos are a thing. But I am already really happy with it. The length is awesome. I can throw it around my neck, be completely toasty cozy, and still have some left over that I can like tuck in my coat and be extra warm. Yeah, yes. Anyway, sorry for the light over there. I started this just after breakfast. I finished warping around lunchtime and I just had dinner. That is an entire day of weaving. I feel content. it is cold outside. And as you can see, I had to accept the fact that I was not going to get any daylight between Sunday, when I made a scarf, and Wednesday, when I planned to edit this video. So I got a little bit creative, and I hope you still got to enjoy the magnificence that is this scarf. Let me pick out some of my favorite bits. I think I really like this bit over here in the dark pink with the like almost embossed stripes because of the textured yarn, and I think that just a bit before it with the white yarn and then the clasped weft with my textural yarn. Those two parts really stand out to me. All in all, just all the parts where there is textural yarn. This was amazing yarn to weave with. It's just such immediate texture. You don't have to do anything special with it. It's just the yarn will speak for itself, and it is in fact amazing. Every bit of it. I also hope that this very textured yarn will keep me very warm in this here cold month of December. Now, this scarf, of course, isn't perfect. While I didn't have very many tension issues, actually, the only really tension issue mistake that you see is right here at the end, where we have a very long warp float. Sadly, it's just at the end. But all in all, there is no real tension mistakes visible in the scarf. What is visible, of course, are my really wonky ends. Like it almost has a scalloped edge, but that was not what I was doing. But it's just with the textured yarn, it just happened, and I'm not mad. I'd rather have this zigzaggy scallop looking sides than having it like curve in, because I was pulling too tight. Like I wasn't pulling too tight on my weft yarns, which is also a win. It is okay to suck at things and actually still enjoy them, and still enjoy whatever you make with it. The word amateur comes from the Latin amare, which means to love. So an amateur is actually just someone who loves doing a thing. I don't know where we got the connotation that an amateur is a beginner. I love the act of weaving and the fabric of weaving. I am very much an amateur at weaving. But now that I have this, and also the books that I recently bought about weaving, I always hope, and I say it every time and time again, and then I do like exactly one weaving project per year, but I just hope to get more motivation to weave with my Rigid Heddle Loom. The other loom, as I said, that's in the naughty corner. I will think long and hard about what I'm going to do with that, but the Rigid Heddle Loom, I want to weave more with it. And I want to upgrade from scarves to something else as well. I know I'm limited in width. This is about the maximum width I can do with that loom. But you can sew stuff together, right? It's okay to suck. Sometimes I say things on this channel that are more for myself than for you, but if you needed a permission from someone outside your own brain, then this is me giving you permission that it is okay to suck at things. When I posted like a little spoiler picture of this scarf on my Instagram, I had multiple messages saying, "Oh, so this means you're not giving up on weaving." So I am thankful, friends, for all your enthusiasm and your motivation. That you're enthused about this city scarf. And I hope this video has fulfilled your wants and needs and enthusiasm. Anyway, if you like these kind of fiber shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe, but of course that is all up to you. And as for me, I will see you in a next video, but before we do that, maybe you could look at some more craft shenanigans. Bye!